Now we're going to build on what we've learned in part one, and we're going to look at something really interesting. And this is something that's called herbal energetics. This is where herbalism starts to be a bit more intuitive and a bit more creative. So instead of only thinking about what a herb treats, we're going to start thinking about how it feels in our bodies. Herbal energetics is basically, well, we could describe it as the personality of a plant. It's all about how a herb interacts with your body on a physical and an emotional level. So, for example, some herbs will feel warming, some cooling, some drying, while others are moistening. Some calm you down and some will wake you up. So energetics helps you choose the right herb for your body in the moment. And it's not just about what a textbook says. It's not just about what you've read on here. It's about what actually feels supportive for you. And this is where herbalism becomes really personalized. Let's start off by looking at warming and cooling herbs. Warming herbs are really what they say they are. They feel like switching on a gentle heater inside your body. They help when you're cold, they help when you're feeling really sluggish or tired, or when all your muscles feel really tight and stuck. And these are herbs like ginger, cinnamon in tiny amounts, rosemary and holy basil. All of these will increase the circulation in your body. They'll help to get things moving. So they wake up the digestion, they wake up your body, they make you feel more alive and energized. So if you ever get that feeling of being chill or being slow, warming herbs are absolutely perfect. Cooling herbs, on the other hand, do the opposite. They feel refreshing, they're calming, and they're soothing. So they're great when you're overheated, maybe anxious, stressed, or embarrassed. And examples of these herbs will be things like peppermint, lavender, lemon balm, hibiscus. All of these herbs will help calm our nervous system and bring your temperature and your energy levels back down to a more comfortable place. Remember that when we're talking about herbalism, we're talking about putting our body back into balance. So if we're too cold, we're going to use those warming herbs. If we're too hot or embarrassed or stressed, we're going to use those cooling herbs. Just move our internal body temperature, our energy levels back down to a more comfortable place. So cooling herbs are really nice in summer or when you're feeling just a little bit overwhelmed. Next up, drying and moistening herbs. Examples of drying herbs are sage, lemon balm, black tea. They're herbs that feel light and really crisp. So they help reduce dampness in the body, and dampness is a really odd abstract term if you're not used to it. But we think of dampness as when we're feeling puffy, we have oily skin, perhaps we've got a cough that we're bringing up some mucus, maybe we're just feeling really heavy or bloated in our stomach. All of those are caused in herbal terms by too much moisture in the body, too much dampness. And so we'll use drying herbs to help dry out the body. They'll help clear out that feeling of just being a bit stuck, a bit bogged down, a bit congested with what you're looking at. And these herbs will feel really light and crisp, kind of like opening a window on a really stuffy day. And moistening herbs, on the other hand, have the opposite effect. So if you're noticing, we're thinking of energetics always as opposites, always as trying to get our body back into balance. So moistening herbs feel soft, slippery, soothing, and they'll help support anything that feels dry, maybe like a dry throat, a dry skin, dry eyes, even dry emotions when you just feel a bit worn out. And nice examples of moistening herbs are things like marshmallow root, aloe for external use only, and sometimes even licorice root. These herbs act almost like a sort of soothing coating for irritated herbs. Think about them as kind of like the herbal equivalent of a nice comforting hug when you're just feeling awful. And our last energetic opposites that we're going to talk about are relaxing versus stimulating herbs. I'm sure most of you can all guess what relaxing herbs do. And what relaxing herbs do is they help our bodies slow down and just settle when everything feels too much, too fast, or too overwhelming. And they're perfect when we're stressed, we're tense, we're anxious, or perhaps we just cannot wind down to sleep. And perfect examples of these will be like your passion flower, chamomile, lavender, lemon balm. All of these are really nice, gentle, relaxing herbs, and they support the nervous system in a really calm, steady way just to help our body and our mind slow down. So use them anytime that you feel like you just cannot switch off. And of course, stimulating herbs do the opposite. They wake up our energy and they help us feel much more alert and focused. And they're great for studying, getting yourself kind of motivated, or perhaps just shaking off tiredness, kind of like that big cup of coffee, but without the caffeine kind of manicness it brings to our bodies. And these are examples of peppermint, rosemary, ginger, basil. All of these are stimulating without giving you those caffeine coffee jitters that you can get. They sharpen your mind, but you still feel natural and you still feel balanced. Now, some of you may have noticed that some of those herbs I've said belong in several energetic groups, and that's because most herbs do. They're not just drying, they're not just relaxing, they're not just stimulating, they can actually combine together, but most of them will fit into a family. So you might have relaxing and moisturizing, or you might have stimulating and drying. So knowing about the energetics of your herbs are so important. Energetics really is the thing that makes herbalism feel like a real life skill rather than just following random recipes. When you know the energetics of herbs, you can choose herbs based on how they feel, not just what they're for. So you could perhaps avoid stimulating herbs in the evening, or you could match a herb to your exact mood or physical state, and you can start to create your own personalized tea blends. Energetics helps you think like a herbalist instead of just being a recipe follower. This is where the real skill is. Now, we've spoken about energetics, so let's have a little think about how we can grow some of our own basic herbs. Now, herbs are mostly very easy to grow, even for total beginners. Things like mint, basil, lemon balm, chamomile, all of these are going to grow really well on pots, windowsills, or gardens. They don't need fancy equipment, just a bit of light, a bit of water, and a bit of care. And I think it's really nice to grow your own herbs, because of course you can just pop down to the supermarket, you can just get the herbs you want, but if you've grown them, it almost helps you understand them better. And it also gives you, of course, fresh leaves to work with whenever you need them. And when we do need them, harvesting herbs, timing of picking them is really important. Most of the time, we want to pick our leaves in the morning. If they're outside, that's once the dew has dried, but before the sun gets too strong. And this is because this time in the morning is when the plant oils and active compounds are at their highest, what we really want. We also want to avoid damaged or unhealthy plants. Herbs need to look vibrant, they need to look strong, and they need to look happy, because that is when they have the most to offer. And when we've picked them, most of the time, unless you're going to use your herbs straight away in things like teas, we need to dry them. And one of the best methods is simply hanging them upside down. So, why upside down, guys? Well, a few reasons really. One is just from an easy storage point of view. So if we hang them upside down, hanging herbs upside down uses gravity to keep the stem straight and to stop the leaves from curling or collapsing. And this makes them a lot easier to dry and to store later on. Another reason is because if we hang them upside down, the air tends to circulate all the way around the leaves. And as I've said, herbs can get prone to molds, to mildew. So if we hang them upside down, it can help prevent that. And another really big important reason is that as herbs dry, if we hang them upside down, moisture and oils travel level from the stems towards the tips of the plant. And this means, of course, that those oils that we really want will settle in the leaves where we want them. And once they're completely dry, we need to store them. And we can do this by placing them in nice, clean glass jars. Keep them cool, keep them somewhere dark, because we want to protect them from heat and from light. Make sure that you label everything with the herb name and the date you harvested it, because herbs don't last forever. So knowing when you've stored them helps you use the freshest one first. And believe me, dried herbs can look suspiciously similar after a month or two, so always label them. Just something I wanted to mention as we finish off this session is that it can be a really nice idea, a really nice way for you guys to think about keeping a herbal journal. This is one of the best things for learning, the best tools, I think, because you can use it to record the blends you make. You can just jot a few words down about how different herbs make you feel. You could even sketch plants or put in some photographs so that you can recognize them again and write reflections on what you learned. Remember, herbalism is really a personal journey. It's really personalized to you, and a gerbil helps you see patterns over time and understand yourself and the herbs much better. It becomes a really good personal book that you can look back on.